Hi, and welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am your host, Suzanne, and welcome to the show.
Bum, 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 positively Susan, positively Susan, bum, 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 ba-da-da-dum, positively Suzanne.
All right, so that is the jingle for Positively Suzanne by my daughter Sarah Jessica. Still waiting for the Sit Down with Suzanne jingle, but I love that one so much. I would continue to play it. So I do want to apologize. I did not want to get through this episode without acknowledging that I have not posted an episode in about 4 weeks. And it was not my intention to take a break, but as I was thinking about it, I was watching one of my shows and, they were taking a winter break and I was kind of frustrated because they were the really good part in the show. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to wait another 2 months before this show comes back on. So I felt that my fans would feel that frustration. So I didn't want to do a show to say that I will not be doing a show. So here is the story. I had a few guests lined up and unfortunately they just each fell out. Some it was it couldn't be helped, some flaked out, some made commitments that they couldn't honor. But long story short, and I know my husband will say something about this, but unfortunately they all fell apart and I was not able to record the episodes. So actually my goal for next year is to record the episodes before the actual release date or even close to the release date, so this way I can get it out without having an issue. And if you notice, my voice is also a little husky. Have been fighting a cold for the past couple of weeks. It's just my voice actually just keeps going in and out. I was saying to a friend of mine, yeah, I know I sound like Barry White. She's like, yeah, no, you don't. So anyway, well, what has been happening? There's been so much that's been happening in my life. Just starting this podcast has been just such an incredible experience for me. It's allowed me to connect with so many different people. It's allowed me to interact. It's allowed me to help others. So I'm so humbled when you guys send me your feedback, your reviews, your questions, or anything like that. It's an opportunity for me to connect with you, and some of you I know, and some of you I don't know. But for every single fan that listens, that shares, I thank you. And I appreciate you. So, the thing that I wanted to talk about today, and it's actually one of the things that I actually spoke about on one of my social media site. So, if you follow my podcast, you know that it is my mission to inspire, to motivate, and to empower. And I had done a post recently about being perfectly imperfect. I think a lot of times we chase perfection. And when we realize that perfection is not possible, we get disillusioned and we judge ourselves so harshly. But I am here to tell you that it's okay not to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I think being perfect is boring. Now, don't get me wrong. I think you should strive for excellence and you should do the best in everything you do and try to be excellent. But when you aim to be perfect, when you want to be perfect and you're not perfect, then you start to compare yourself to others and then you start to take it very hard when certain things don't work out. So I am here to tell you. So the topic of this show is being perfectly imperfect and being okay with it. I'm very okay with it. I remember, when I became a new mom, and this was a long time ago, my daughter's a lot older now. She's a teenager. You know, the idea of being a perfect mom was appealing because, you wanted to be that mom that did everything right. You wanted to have the mom that, the house was clean, the food was cooked, the kids were perfectly behaved and all that. And I'm happy that I have some of that, but not all of that. And I learned very early on that it was okay, that there is no perfect version of motherhood, that we're all doing the best that we can. And it is our job as mothers to help other mothers and uplift them and encourage them. And, and if you see a mother that's comparing herself to you and says, wow, you've got it together, because a lot of times, we fake it, right? We fake it till we make it. So another mother will look at us and says, wow, that person has it all together. It's okay to say to another mother that you see that's struggling, it's like, oh, it's okay, honey. I'm struggling too. Yeah, I might hide it a little better. Or I see you and you're doing well, because sometimes it gets overwhelming, and it's a truth that people don't want to admit to, but it does. Just searching for this perfection thing, this perfect motherhood. So it's going to be okay. It's not all the time that you're going to have that five-course meal prepared. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure how many times you'll have a five-course meal prepared if you're a working mom or even an at-home mom, because it is a lot to do. So I just want to encourage the mothers out there that it's okay to be you. It's okay not to be perfect. So it's okay if your house isn't spotless. It is okay if the kid's clothes aren't starched and pressed to within an inch of his life. It's okay if the kids have a little junk food sometimes. Obviously, watch the kids help, but it's okay. We put so much pressure on our kids sometimes too, right? For them to be perfect. And, one of the things I've always tried to teach my girls, that, strive for excellence, do your best, whatever you do, but you can't be perfect. Okay, yeah, I will admit that. I do want them to bring home perfect grades. But you know, I want them to know that it's okay if they don't. And, we'll have a conversation. So one of my kids was struggling in math, and I'm so happy that she was able to come to me and talk to me about the challenges that she was having, the struggles that she was having. And trust me, I can't help her in math. So I was able to hire a tutor and got the help for her that she needed, instead of making her feel like she wasn't good enough because she wasn't doing okay in math. And yeah, my kids know that they're fair game. They know that I'm going to talk about them. So yeah, and she does listen to this show. So, which is really, really cool. My daughter will call me and says, oh, mom, I was listening to the podcast on my way home from school today while I was on the bus. And, she's like, the other kids were like yelling and they just was listening to the podcast. So that's really great. And the thing about the podcast, it's positive. It's always positive. So I know that it is something that she can listen to. And I'm proud of that fact that my kids can listen to the podcast and, gain something from it. And on the podcast, I am who I am 100% of the time. I'll laugh too loud, or talk too loud or talk too fast. I do realize that sometimes I do talk a little fast, but hey, it's me being me, perfectly imperfect. So as we strive for excellence, as we be the best that we can be, I want you to know that it's okay not to be perfect. And, where did this idea come from that we needed to be perfect? Where did this idea come from that there is this impossible standard that we're supposed to hold ourselves up to? I mean, is there anybody that's hidden the perfect standard? I mean, look around you, whether you're looking at celebrities, and I'm going to urge and encourage you, do not model your life after celebrities. Yes, it's great that they do things that you admire, but their life is different and they have different situation and different people in their life. They handles different things. And, like Instagram is the great make believe land, right? Like sometimes there's things that are posted on Instagram that look so impossible and it seems perfect and we're going after that life, but it is just what it is. It is a perfect image, but it's not a perfect life. And trust me, you don't want a perfect life. You want a little mess sometimes. You want to be able to laugh out loud. You want to be able to just be silly and enjoy every single moment. So, back to this idea that we need to be perfect, that this impossible standard we need to hold ourselves to. That I don't know if you guys can write into me and tell me about somebody that you know that is perfect, that is nailing everything. I mean, this is not like a competitive sport where, Simone Biles will do her fabulous gymnastic moves and, she'll get a perfect score and things like that. This is real life. Real life is messy. Real life, you have stumbles, you have failures, you have accidents. And, the thing is, we learn from them and we grow and, we embrace growth and maturity. And, for every stumble that I have had and for every failure that I have had, I really try to learn something from it. And I know a lot of times people will say to me, like, your life is going perfectly. And I'm telling you, it is not. I have struggles, I have challenges, just like everyone else. But the thing that I try to do is think that I know that others are having a worse time than me. I have my faith and my trust in God, and I know that it will turn around. And that's what my faith does. My faith reassures me that things is going to be okay. So, and I know sometimes it can be a little annoying to folks when I'm being positive in every situation. But what is the alternative? The alternative is that I am unhappy and that I am negative and I'm bringing everyone down around me, and that's not what I want. I want to enjoy life, the whole fullness of it. So, Christ came that we may have life and life more abundantly. And I want to fully enjoy every moment of life. So, I won't be the perfect wife. There's going to be moments that, I'm tired or I'm irritated. And, I might not respond to my husband the way I should have responded or anything like that. But I'm not a perfect wife. I'm not going to be a perfect mother because there's going to be time when, the kids will want, homemade cookies to bring for school. And I'll be like, listen, honey, that ain't happening right now. Trust me. I'm not the perfect daughter. I still have challenging conversations with my mom. And, the beautiful thing is that, we do try to have a relationship. And sometimes it is challenging because she's strong willed and I am strong willed. I got that from her. But I'm from the islands. You're raised respecting your parents no matter what you do. You respect your parent and they may frustrate you, and I'm sure I frustrate her. So I'm not the perfect daughter, I'm not the perfect sister, I'm not the perfect employee. But what I have is a willingness to learn and to grow. I'm not afraid to admit that I made a mistake. I'm not afraid to admit that I am not perfect. And I'm not judging anybody for not being perfect. And again, perfection is overrated. I am going for excellent. I want to do an excellent job. All right. So I may have spoken on this show a few times that I am going back to school to get my degree. And yes, I will admit that I want those A's, and I have gotten A's, but I work very, very hard to get those A's. So it's not perfection per se that I'm seeking in the classes, but it's excellence. And I know that my friends that are listening right now, they're like, yeah, okay. But I truly want the A's. It's as simple as that. I do my best for every single assignment just because I always feel like there's going to be an assignment that I just don't get and I might not get the best grade. So, all those other grades in advance will help bolster if I do happen to get a bad grade. So, that's all I'm saying. So, I'm not seeking perfection per se, but I definitely want excellent grades. So, if you're struggling, if you're a mother out there and you are struggling because you think you're not a perfect mom, you think that there's somebody else who's doing it better than you, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no perfect mothers. So you just go ahead and do the best you can till you can do better. Just love your kids. All right. I almost said amen. I swear you can't take this church girl anywhere. I almost said amen. A lot of times I'm at work sometimes or I'm greeting customers and I'm ready to bust out and, praise the Lord, hallelujah, and amen. But you know what? I am a child of God who's happy to give him praise. So it's going to come out. And y'all know that about me. So that is going to come out. If you are a wife and you're struggling thinking that you need to be the perfect wife, because you ever seen those shows sometimes where the wife, she works a full-time job and comes home and has the dinner on the table and perfectly dressed and all that. Okay, fiction, fiction, fiction. That is not true, and honestly, you don't want that. I mean, I think a marriage is a partnership. So when you are married to someone, you're both share equal responsibility. If he's home first, he can get dinner. Unless he's a terrible cook, then hopefully he'll order to takeout. But shared responsibility, and if you can't get something done, like, there's no shame in, say, getting a house cleaner, somebody to clean your house, if that is going to help you. I know some people who say, take great pride, oh, I'll never hire a housekeeper, I keep my house clean, and oh, I get that, but I would rather spend time with my kids than cleaning my house. And believe me, I'm on my kids all the time, like, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. But I choose my moments. I choose things that take my time, just takes my time away from my family, takes my time away from my loved one, takes time away from me doing what I enjoy, what I love. Where else we perfect? Like a perfect employee. I believe that as an employee, you should do your best job. You should do the job that you're paid to do and go above and beyond. And don't just do it because of, the paycheck. Do it because you want to. My pastor always talks about, when you go to your job, there's a reason that you have your job, right? There's a reason that you're placed there, and not just because they hire you. I think when you are a child of God, you realize that God places you in situation where you can be an asset, a blessing to others, and that's how I choose to see my job. Also, I do love my job, but I also believe that I was placed there for a reason. There may be somebody there who needs, my message of positivity, my encouragement, my empowering. So, whatever it is and whatever the reasons, I'm going to do the best job that I can do. And if there's others at the job that understands certain elements of the job that I don't, I'm not going to be afraid or ashamed to ask them for help. Because again, we are seeking excellence. We are not seeking perfection. Okay? Christ himself was perfect, but that's it. Nobody else was perfect. I see so many friends of mine chasing this perfection dream, getting so upset when it doesn't happen right away, when it doesn't happen on their timetable. They have this plan ahead of them, and they're supposed to, graduate from college and get the job and find a fiance, get married, get the house, have the kids. And what happens? They get a divorce, and they think that it is the end because their perfect world come crashing down. Now, I'm not here advocating for divorce, but sometimes divorce does happen. And depending on the circumstances, it might be the answer to your problem. But it is not the end of you. You can come back for it. I do believe that you should work on it and try to resolve and solve. But if it is broken beyond the point of repair, then you should be able to come back from it and know that it is not the end of you, and you shouldn't be ashamed. You shouldn't hold your head down. You shouldn't feel that others is judging you. And if they are, that's their issue. Let them continue to judge, but don't let it define you. Just like any other thing that didn't work out, losing a job. So just like with a divorce, don't let it define you. Rise up above it, learn from it, and know that, hey, that perfection dream, nobody's achieving it. All right. So, my friends, I just want to encourage you today. Stop focusing so much on being perfect. Stop looking at others and saying, you know what, their life is perfect and I wish my life was like them. Because truthfully, you don't know what, they're going through. Um, I do a lot of life coaching and I counsel a lot of people. And as we talk, and sometimes I do share, and it's about them, it's about me listening to them. But I think sometimes you have to open up to others for them to see that you're human, for them to see that you're just like them, because sometimes somebody sees you so put together, they're intimidated, and they don't want to tell you what they're going through because they believe that you won't understand. You can't understand failure, you can't understand loss, you can't understand feeling of being alone. So they won't share that with you. But some of my clients, as I've been talking to them, and just some of the things that they share that they are going through, I tell you, you'll see them on the street and you would never know this, because we have gotten, to be masters in the art of deception, the art of faking it till we make it, the art of looking perfect on the outside while we're dying on the inside. But I'm going to tell you this: when you're pretending so much that the outs everything is perfect, you're slowly killing the things inside of you, and you're losing precious time that you can work on to fix these things. So who cares who sees that you're not perfect? Don't worry about it. Let them live their life and let you live your life. Work on the things that you need to work on to get better. So don't worry about impressing others, pretending to be perfect. I am so passionate about people protecting their mental health. I am so passionate about people, protecting their peace. I am so passionate about people, just protecting who they are and just removing themselves from just negative situation and just negative and toxic people, in order to build up themselves. You know, I Life is short. It doesn't matter if you live to be 99 years old, 100 years old. I think I read a story the other day that a woman was one of the oldest women alive. I don't remember. She was 100 and something years old when she died. And I think that no matter how old you live to be, I think there's just a little more life that you could have lived. There's just something else you could have done, right? So people are dying, before 10, as teens, when they're in their 20s, when they're in their 30s, their 40s, 50s, 60. And no matter what age it is, there is somebody who thinks they didn't live long enough. And yes, at the funeral, they'll say, they lived a long, full life. But, somebody there is thinking, but I just wish they had lived just a little bit longer. So, what I'm saying to you, don't spend so much time, faking it. Don't spend so much time chasing perfection that you forget to live your life. There is this posts going around, and some of these posts, you'll see on Facebook and social media, and they're really, really funny. And it was just one where this girl said, all the years she wasted in her 20s or 30s thinking she was fat. So can you imagine? So instead of enjoying your life, you're wasting all this time thinking that you're fat. So then you get to a certain age and then you realize I wasn't fat. It was just all in my head. And I wasted 10, 15, 20 years, missing out on doing things and enjoying life because I was sad about something that wasn't even true. So don't waste your life, just chasing something that is impossible to achieve. You know, be healthy, but enjoy your life. Enjoy your body. I recently got to spend some time with my best friend, and she is a healthy eater. And I have talked and joked on the show off and on about, having a healthy respect for healthy eating. But I do have challenges with it, and I'm not perfect there. I have a good game plan that I'm going to go to the gym, and life happens, something happens, and I don't go. And even though I want to go, I'm not gonna, not enjoy my life because I'm not the size I want to be or anything. I want to be healthy, and that is my goal. And I've been doing a lot of things lately to get towards my health goal that I'm trying to accomplish. But I'm telling you, I'm still living my life. I'm still loving my life. I'm still enjoying my life, while it's happening. So, funny story. The other day, after church. We do a big deal. I do a lot of traditions. And if you follow me on social media, I do a lot of traditions. I coordinate with the husband, I coordinate with the kids, I do matching pajamas, I do matching ugly sweaters, I do movie nights with little cubby things, whatever it is. We go on vacation, we dress alike. Hey, it's my tradition, it's our tradition. I love it. It makes us all happy. I don't know. I think it makes the husband happy. I don't think he's going to say anything to me because he says happy wife, happy life. So I'm just going to accept that and go with it. But, we came from church that Sunday and it was going to be our day. It was Sunday, December 1st. And we're like, this is our day to put up the Christmas tree because I absolutely refused to put up the Christmas tree while Thanksgiving was going on. So the Christmas tree, we set it up. My husband set it up and we want to put the bulbs on and my husband does a fabulous job and just really truly spectacular job with the Christmas tree. But the kids wanted to decorate the Christmas tree. So I looked at my husband, I looked at the tree. My husband started it and then they did it. And I will tell you, it was okay. It wasn't pretty, but it was okay. Now, I could have said, you know what? I want the perfect Christmas tree because, I've seen everybody's posts right on social media. And a friend of mine, she's way crazy with the Christmas. She even got fake snow. She did so much and she did a beautiful job with the decoration, and her tree is gorgeous. But my kids wanted to decorate the tree. So I could make my kids happy and have them decorate the tree and love it how they want. Or I could have my husband decorate a beautiful tree. In the end, I went with, it wasn't even a decision. I just thought about it. And I just thought it was so funny. I went with what they did. Could I had my husband change it after? But no, I wanted to keep that tree because they did it. And in my eyes, it was absolutely beautiful. So, hey, it won't be the perfect tree. It won't win any prizes. But I'm telling you, when I come home at night from work, yes, because it gets really dark really quickly, like at 4 o'clock, right? Daylight saving time. I'm not sure who we're saving the daylight for, so, but I just come in and it's lit up and I just get this just feeling in my heart, just standing there looking at it like, I created these two beings and they did this. And it's just so beautiful. So that's all I'm telling you. So, there are going to be moments when you're going to have to choose. Do I want the perfect moment or do I want the real moment? And darling, always choose the real moment no matter what. And those perfect moments that you see on social media, like I said earlier in the podcast, they're not our real. A lot of them are fake. So we're wasting our life chasing a perfect image for something that truly doesn't exist. Trust me, theirs isn't perfect. So why should yours be, right? Enjoy your life. So, I don't know if I mentioned yet. No, I didn't mention it on this podcast. So do follow me on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and YouTube as Positively Suzanne. So please follow me. I'm really excited about 2020. There's just so much that God has laid into my heart, and I know it's going to come into fruition. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the guests that I'm thinking about for the show. I've reached out to a couple of people, just some different things that I thought is positive, and I can't wait to share it. I won't share that the episode is coming up until I've actually had the interview in the bag, because, like I said, sometimes people back out, sometimes people flake out. Just when you're doing it remotely, then you have to deal with the technological aspect of it, and the side aspect of it. So there's just so much that goes on with that. So once again, I do apologize for taking the breather, but call that my winter break. And I am back with a vengeance. And I promise you, you will get one episode every week, if not more. And then 2020, if I'm going to take a break again, I will let you know in advance. So, I've accepted that I am not perfect. And with this podcast, I actually really wanted it to be perfect, just in terms of being consistent. Well, I shouldn't say perfect. I wanted it to be consistent. I wanted to get an episode every week. And, like I said, each week, one fell through on week one, and then the second one and I said, well, I'll just do week two. And then week two fell through, and then week three fell, and then week four. And then it was just like one thing after the other. Then I got sick, lost my voice, and it was just okay, one thing after the other. But I thank you guys for remaining. I thank you for being faithful. I do appreciate it. And I promise you, reach out to me at Suzanne at positivelysuzanne.com. Um, so I know what you're thinking. So once again, Be okay with being perfectly imperfect. I thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I hope you were either motivated, empowered, or inspired. And until next time, this is Suzanne saying ta ta.